I never thought much about aging until I started feeling its weight. It wasn't just the wrinkles in the mirror or the graying hair, it was the fatigue, the aches, and the quiet fear that time was slipping away faster than I expected. Then, one morning, I got a call that changed everything. My best friend, Tom, a man full of life and laughter, had suffered a heart attack. He survived, but the doctor's words lingered in my mind. Lifestyle changes could have prevented this. That night, I couldn't sleep. I started reading about the biggest threats to longevity, silent killers that creep up on us as we age. 4 stood out: heart disease, diabetes, Alzheimer's, and chronic respiratory diseases. Each had the power to steal not just years, but the quality of life itself. But here's the good news. I also discovered that, with the right habits, they could be prevented or managed. Heart disease, the #1 cause of death, thrives on poor diet and inactivity. But something as simple as daily walks and swapping processed foods for fresh produce could cut the risk dramatically. Then there was diabetes, a growing epidemic fueled by sugar and sedentary lifestyles. I learned that keeping blood sugar stable wasn't about drastic diets. It was about balance, fiber, and movement. Alzheimer's frightened me the most. The idea of losing memories, of not recognizing my own family, was terrifying. But I found hope in brain exercises, omega-3 rich foods, and staying socially active little things that could help keep my mind sharp. And finally, chronic respiratory diseases, worsened by smoking and pollution, reminded me of the importance of fresh air and lung-strengthening activities like yoga. That night, I made a decision. I wouldn't just grow old, I'd grow strong. I'd make small, lasting changes, not just for myself, but for my family, for the people who loved me. And as I started this journey, I realized longevity isn't just about living longer, it's about living better. The morning after Tom's heart attack, I sat at my kitchen table, staring at my coffee, lost in thought. It wasn't just about him, it was about all of us. Heart disease, diabetes, cancer, and dementia weren't just statistics in a medical journal. They were real, creeping into the lives of people I knew and loved. And if I wasn't careful, they'd creep into mine too. That day, I decided to take control. I started with small steps. First, my diet. I used to grab whatever was quick frozen meals, sugary snacks, takeout. But as I read more, I realized that what I put on my plate wasn't just food. It was fuel. Processed sugars? They were feeding diabetes. Saturated fats? They were clogging my arteries, making my heart work harder. I started choosing lean proteins, whole grains, fresh vegetables, and healthy fats like nuts and olive oil. It wasn't a diet, it was a shift in how I saw food. Next, I tackled movement. I'd always thought exercise had to be intense to be effective, but I learned that even a 30-minute walk each day could cut my risk of heart disease by nearly half. So, I made it a habit. Each morning, I laced up my sneakers and walked around my neighborhood. At first, it felt like a chore, but soon, I started enjoying it: the crisp air, the feeling of my legs growing stronger, the way my heart settled into a steady rhythm. But there was something that scared me even more than heart disease or diabetes: Alzheimer's. The thought of forgetting my family, of losing the moments that made me me, was terrifying. I learned that keeping my brain active was just as important as keeping my body moving. So, I picked up a new hobby: puzzles, reading, even learning a few words in a new language. I stayed connected with friends, engaged in conversations, and made an effort to challenge my mind every day. Then, there was cancer, the silent enemy. Some risks were out of my control, but others weren't. I quit processed meats, cut back on alcohol, and focused on foods rich in antioxidants, berries, leafy greens, nuts. And most importantly, I scheduled regular checkups. Early detection could mean the difference between life and death, so I made a promise to myself I wouldn't ignore my health. As the weeks went by, something amazing happened. I started feeling better. My energy levels rose. My sleep improved. My body felt stronger and my mind clearer. And it wasn't just me, Tom, inspired by his health scare, started making changes too. We became accountability partners, reminding each other why we were doing this, not just to live longer, but to live well. One evening, as I sat on my porch watching the sunset, I realized something. We don't have control over everything in life, but we have control over the choices we make. A long, healthy life isn't about luck, it's about intention. And it starts today with the small decisions we make each moment. What about you? What's one small change you can make today for a healthier tomorrow? That evening, as I sat on my porch, sipping a cup of herbal tea, I thought about how much had changed in just a few months. Tom's heart attack had been a wake-up call, not just for him, but for all of us. We had spent years ignoring the little signs. The shortness of breath after climbing stairs, the stiffness in our joints, the extra pounds creeping on. It was easy to brush off, to assume we had time. But the truth was, none of us knew how much time we had. The more I learned, the clearer it became. Most of the leading causes of death, heart disease, diabetes, cancer, and dementia weren't just random misfortunes. They were preventable. We had more control than we thought. I started paying attention to the risks. Did you know that nearly 80% of heart disease cases are preventable? Or that regular exercise can reduce the risk of Alzheimer's by almost 50%? It wasn't about making drastic changes overnight. It was about small, consistent choices that added up over time. I realized there were 4 key areas we all needed to focus on if we wanted to live long, healthy lives. 1. Eating for longevity. Tom and I used to laugh about how we'd earned our comfort foods: fried chicken, sugary desserts, salty snacks. But I started seeing food differently. Every bite was either feeding disease or fighting it. I made simple swaps: whole grains instead of white bread, lean proteins instead of processed meats, and colorful vegetables with every meal. I discovered how powerful foods like berries, nuts, leafy greens, and fatty fish were in reducing inflammation and protecting our brains. And the best part? I still enjoyed my meals, I just made smarter choices. 2. Movement as medicine. I'll be honest, at first, the idea of exercise felt overwhelming. But I learned that you don't need a gym or intense workouts to make a difference. Walking 30 minutes a day, stretching in the morning, even light strength training a few times a week could improve heart health, lower blood sugar, and keep joints strong. So I made a rule: move every day. Some days it was a long walk. Other days it was gardening, dancing in the kitchen, or even just stretching before bed. The key was consistency. 3. Routine health. Checkups before. I only went to the doctor when something felt wrong. But I learned that many diseases, like high blood pressure and cancer, don't show symptoms in the early stages. By the time you feel something, it might be too late. Now, I scheduled my checkups like I would any other important appointment. Blood pressure, cholesterol, blood sugar. Keeping an eye on these numbers was just as important as eating right and exercising. And for cancer, screenings save lives. 4. Breaking bad habits. There were things I had done for years that I didn't think twice about: too much sitting, too little sleep, too much stress. But I realized these habits were slowly stealing years from my life. So I made changes. I cut back on late nights, started meditating, and made sleep a priority. I spent more time with friends, laughed more, and let go of stress I couldn't control. And you know what? I felt lighter. As I sat there reflecting, Tom called me. His voice sounded different, hopeful. "You know," he said, "I feel better than I have in years. I wish I'd started sooner." That hit me. How many of us are waiting for a health scare to start living healthier? The best time to make a change isn't after something bad happens, it's right now. So, let me ask you, what's one small step you can take today? Maybe it's swapping soda for water, taking a short walk, or calling your doctor to schedule that checkup. Whatever it is, start now. Your future self will thank you. And if you know someone who needs to hear this, share it with them. Let's take care of ourselves and each other. Because living a long, healthy life isn't about luck. It's about the choices we make today. So, what's your first step? Please like, subscribe, and comment. Let me know the moment that changed everything. The phone call from Tom that night stayed with me. His words, "I wish I'd started sooner," echoed in my mind. It made me wonder how many of us are ignoring the warning signs until it's too late. We like to believe we're in control of our lives, but the truth is, disease doesn't wait. It doesn't care how busy we are, how young we feel, or how much we plan to get healthy later. And when it strikes, it doesn't just affect us, it changes everything for the people who love us. I had seen it firsthand. The silent dangers. We ignore the first. Remembered my neighbor, Mr. Reynolds. He had always been strong, independent, full of life. But then came the diabetes diagnosis. At first, he brushed it off, "Just a little sugar problem," he said. But diabetes doesn't just stop at high blood sugar. Over time, it attacked his nerves, his heart, his eyesight. He lost his ability to drive, then to walk without pain. The man who once took daily jogs now sat in a wheelchair, depending on others for everything. Then there was my Aunt Linda. She had always been full of energy, the one organizing family gatherings and making sure everyone stayed connected. But dementia stole her from us, piece by piece. At first, it was small things, forgetting where she put her keys, repeating stories. But then, one day, she forgot who I was. I can still see the confusion in her eyes, the frustration when she knew something wasn't right but couldn't fix it. And Tom, his heart attack nearly took him from us. One clogged artery was all it took. One moment of not paying attention. The scariest part? These weren't just unlucky accidents. They were preventable. Fear alone won't save us, action will. That's why I knew we couldn't wait. We couldn't let fear paralyze us into doing nothing. We had to take action. I started thinking, what if we could take back control? What if we could stop these diseases before they stole our independence, our memories, our lives? And the truth is, we can. The plan that changed my life. Here's what I committed to, and what I encourage everyone I love to do. 1. Take your blood sugar seriously. Diabetes isn't just about avoiding sweets. It's about protecting your nerves, your heart, your eyesight, your life. I started eating more fiber, cutting back on processed foods, and walking after meals. Simple steps, big results. 2. Fight heart disease. Every day, Tom's heart attack scared me, but it also taught me something. Heart disease builds over time, and so do healthy habits. I started watching my salt intake, making sure I got enough omega-3s, and moving every day. 3. Cancer prevention starts. Now, I used to think cancer was just bad luck, but research shows that diet, lifestyle, and regular screenings can reduce the risk. I made sure I was getting enough antioxidants from foods like berries and leafy greens, cut back on processed meats, and never skipped my checkups. 4. Protect your brain. Because memories matter, I never wanted to experience what Aunt Linda did, so I made brain health a priority. I challenged my mind with puzzles, stayed socially active, and focused on eating brain-boosting foods like walnuts and turmeric. Don't wait until it's too late. I don't share these stories to scare you. I share them because I care. Because I don't want you or your loved ones to go through what I've seen happen to so many people. The good news? We have the power to change the outcome. So let me ask you, what's one thing you can do today to protect your future? Maybe it's a small diet change. Maybe it's scheduling a doctor's appointment. Maybe it's just sharing this with someone who needs to hear it. Whatever it is, don't wait. Because the best time to start is now. What they don't want you to know, after everything I had learned, the stories of Tom, Mr. Reynolds, and Aunt Linda, I had one burning question. Why didn't more people talk about this? Why did it take a heart attack, a dementia diagnosis, or a diabetes-related amputation for people to wake up? So I started digging, and what I found shocked me. The lies we've been told for years. We've been led to believe that certain foods are healthy just because they have a label that says so. But the truth is far from that. Take processed foods, for example. We see phrases like low-fat, heart-healthy, and fortified with vitamins on the packaging and assume we're making a good choice. But here's the reality. The food industry has spent billions convincing us that low-fat products are healthier. But when they remove fat, they add sugar and chemicals to make up for the taste. And sugar is the real killer. Even some so-called healthy breakfast cereals contain as much sugar as a candy bar. The American Heart Association warns that excess sugar is directly linked to heart disease, obesity, and type 2 diabetes. The processed meats that so many people eat daily, bacon, hot dogs, deli meats, have been classified as Group 1 carcinogens by the World Health Organization, meaning they are known to cause cancer. And yet, you don't see that on the packaging, do you? How the food industry profits off our health problems. The worst part? They know. The companies selling these products have full access to research, proving their dangers, yet they continue to market them aggressively. Why? Because sick people are profitable. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention (CDC), 90% of the Point-US healthcare budget is spent on chronic diseases that could have been prevented. The pharmaceutical industry makes hundreds of billions every year treating conditions like diabetes, high blood pressure, and heart disease conditions, often caused by diet. Fast food, soda, and junk food companies actively target children, knowing that if they hook a person young, they'll have a lifelong customer. Think about it. If people truly got healthy, how many industries would lose money? The food industry doesn't care about your health. The pharmaceutical companies don't want you to prevent disease. They want you to treat it for life. And the worst part? We've been playing right into their hands. The truth about what's on your plate. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you looked at a food label and really understood what was in it? Natural flavors can mean a chemical cocktail designed in a lab. Zero trans fat doesn't mean the product is actually free of harmful fats. It just means they kept the portion size small enough to legally hide it. Made with whole grains often means less than 10% of the product is actually whole grain, the rest is processed junk. And yet, millions of people eat these foods every day, thinking they're making healthy choices. What you can do today to take back control. Here's the good news. Now that you know the truth, you can take action. Read the labels, all of them. If an ingredient list looks like a science experiment, it probably shouldn't be in your body. Avoid anything with added sugars, hydrogenated oils, and artificial additives. Stick to whole, real foods, things your grandparents would recognize. 2. Eat for long-term health, not just convenience. Yes, fast food is convenient, but you know what else is convenient? Not spending years in the hospital. Choose fiber-rich foods like vegetables, beans, and whole grains to stabilize blood sugar and reduce the risk of diabetes. Eat heart-friendly fats from sources like salmon, nuts, and olive oil to protect against heart disease. Fill your plate with colorful, plant-based foods to reduce inflammation and cancer risk. 3. Demand better. Because you deserve better, the food industry won't change unless we force it to. And the best way to do that? Stop giving them your money. Support local farmers instead of massive food corporations. Choose organic and non-GMO foods whenever possible. Share this information because the more people know, the harder it is for them to keep lying. The wake-up call we all need. I don't share this to scare you. I share it because I wish someone had told me sooner. We don't have to be victims of the system. We don't have to let corporations decide our health for us. So today, I challenge you. Make one change. Read one label. Question one thing you've always assumed was true. Because your health is in your hands. And the best way to fight back? Start making choices they don't profit from. Small changes, big results, I get it. Hearing about the dangers of processed foods, hidden sugars, and corporate greed can feel overwhelming. It's easy to think, how am I supposed to change my whole lifestyle? I've been eating this way for years. But here's the good news. You don't have to overhaul your entire life overnight to see results. In fact, the most powerful changes often come from the smallest steps. So instead of feeling discouraged, I want you to feel excited, because taking control of your health is easier than you think. The 5-minute rule, a simple way to start. A lot of people believe that being healthy means spending hours in the gym or following complicated diets. That's not true. Here's a simple truth. If you have 5 minutes a day, you can start improving your health. Try this. Drink a glass of water first thing in the morning. Hydration boosts energy, helps digestion, and supports brain function. Do 5 minutes of movement. Walk around the house, do some stretching, or march in place while watching TV. Small movements add up. Swap one processed food for a whole food. Instead of sugary cereal, try oatmeal with fruit. Instead of chips, grab a handful of nuts. Take 5 deep breaths. Stress is a silent killer. A few deep breaths can lower blood pressure and reduce anxiety. Get outside for 5 minutes. Sunlight boosts vitamin D, which supports bone health, immune function, and mood. That's it. Just 5 minutes. The power of small wins. Most people fail at improving their health because they try to do too much, too fast. They go from eating junk food to strict diets, from no exercise to hardcore workouts. And when it gets too hard, they quit. But small wins build momentum. When you succeed at something simple, you feel motivated to keep going. That's why I started with easy changes. Instead of cutting out sugar completely, I reduced it little by little. Instead of forcing myself to run miles, I walked for 10 minutes. Before I knew it, those small efforts turned into habits. And those habits changed my life. You don't have to be perfect, just better than yesterday. Another myth? That you have to do everything perfectly to be healthy. That's a lie. Didn't eat a perfect meal? That's okay. Just make a better choice at your next meal. Skipped a workout? No problem, just move a little more tomorrow. Ate too much sugar? It's fine, just balance it out with whole foods. Health isn't about perfection, it's about progress. If you're even 1% better today than you were yesterday, you're on the right track. Imagine the future. You could have closed your eyes for a second. Picture yourself 1 year from now. If you start making these small changes today, you wake up feeling light, energized, and clear-headed. Your doctor tells you your blood pressure is normal, your blood sugar is stable, and your heart is strong. You feel confident, capable, and in control of your own health. That future is possible. And the best part? It starts with just 5 minutes a day. So, are you ready to take that first step? Your future starts now. As I sit here thinking about how far I've come, I realize something important. The best decision I ever made was simply deciding to start. I didn't have all the answers. I didn't change everything overnight, but I took that first step and then another and another. And now I feel stronger, healthier, and more in control than ever before. Your health, your choice. I want you to take a moment to think about your own life. Do you feel as good as you'd like to? Are you doing everything you can to protect your future? What's stopping you from making a change today? The truth is, it's never too late to start. Your body is incredibly resilient. It can heal, improve, and become stronger no matter your age. The key is consistency. Small steps, every day, add up to a lifetime of better health. And you don't have to do it alone. Join the Senior Moments Mat community. This is why I created Senior Moments Mat, a place where we can learn, grow, and support each other in our journey to better health. So, here's what I want you to do next. Hit the like button if this story inspired you. Subscribe to Senior Moments Mat so you don't miss future videos filled with practical health tips and real-life stories. Share your thoughts in the comments. What's one small change you've made that helped you feel healthier? Do you have any personal experiences with diabetes, heart disease, cancer, or dementia? What questions do you have about improving your health? Your story might be exactly what someone else needs to hear today. This is just the beginning. Your health is your greatest asset. It's what allows you to enjoy time with your loved ones, pursue your passions, and live life to the fullest. So, let's make a commitment to ourselves and to each other. Start today. Take that first small step. And remember, your future is in your hands. I can't wait to hear your stories. Let's keep this conversation going. See you in the next video.